Welcome back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real-life working screenwriter. I am Tasha Huo.
And I am Josh Hallman.
And we are Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter, of which this podcast is just one of our many initiatives. So thank you for joining us here.
Yeah.
Please remember, subscribe to the podcast, give us a rating, write a comment, tell us the weirdest thing, I don't know, another writer has said to you, because writers can be mean to each other sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't want to do that, if you'd rather DM us, you can with questions and topic suggestions. And you just want to say hi and update us on your writing life, you can do that at ActTwoWriters@gmail.com, all spelled out, or on our Instagram and Twitter at ActTwoWriters. I'm Story Thursday on Instagram and Tasha 3.0 on Twitter.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter. Josh Hallman on Instagram.
Hi, Josh. Good morning.
Freaking good morning. How you doing?
I'm good.
I feel like, do we just jump into things?
I think we can. I just want to say we've had guests for a while, and I feel like we always miss just hanging out. So it's good to see you.
We have another guest coming up in a couple weeks, actually, who I'm very, very excited about.
Damn.
I'm just throwing it out there. You know what? I'm going to go into This Week in Writing because it's going to tie into some of my life issues.
Let's go.
This Week in Writing.
So, Tasha, as you know, I have been working on this one spec for a little bit. The one about the father and daughter in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
There is a creature element where they're in the woods. There's this creature there. I gave it to writers group. You guys gave me back notes. They were fantastic. They're great. I'm going to submit the next draft to the next group.
Hell yeah.
However, I think it's gotten significantly worse.
Oh, no.
I started to get so messed up with the rules of this creature where it was just supposed to kind of be this thing in the woods that was relentless. And I thought I had the rules and I wrote them out. I used your sketch pad. I was like,
Hell
boom,
yeah.
I got it all. And then I just read this latest draft and I was like, this is just completely disconnected. This is like really bad. So much so I've been almost reluctant to submit it to group, but I know that's what group is for. And that's it. And so I woke up this morning thinking about it. I was like, what happened? What have I done? Have I gone off course? It was one of those things which I think happens in drafts and specs in particular, especially when you have to have rules of something. When I went in, I just wanted it to be like this relentless kind of like.
It didn't matter what it was, because what mattered was the father-daughter relationship and how they reacted to danger. So you found that, because I'm sure we gave you notes of like, I don't understand. I remember my note was that you had set up a very cool, like, abandoned lab or something in the woods that they eventually found, which is like part of the cool mystery of the father and daughter and what they're doing out there. And then I just assumed, and I think you even wrap it up at the end this way, that the creature came from this lab. And that's kind of all the explanation you do. But I think I was just so intrigued by that I was like, oh, you could use that as a set piece. You could, they could go to the lab and discover what's going on there. But I could tell that that's not the movie you wanted to write, even as I was giving the note. You want to write the movie that's centered in the woods, and that's it. And like all that the building is in the background is just like a hint at where this creature came from, so that the audience can kind of put pieces together once the movie's over.
Yeah, I have brought the building back.
I honestly don't think like that wasn't a good note.
No.
It was a note that I gave because I do think there's a version of that movie where it exists, but I don't feel like that's the movie you're trying to write. So maybe we have steered you off course, because you absolutely can write something where the creature is as vague as possible, because the creature that you've created is so scary that that's all you probably need.
We'll see.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I almost changed the creature to like just an animal in the woods.
No.
That was how close I was. Yeah, that's where my mind went.
I feel personally responsible.
Not at all. I think I feel like a complete failed writer. It's like, you know what? This sucks. This is bad. So we'll see.
Okay, silver lining is you had to write this version to know that when you get the note from the people who buy this script, you're like, yeah, I tried that. It absolutely waters down the relationship. Really what I want is the creature to be a metaphor and a symbol for their own fear. I don't really want us to go deep into it.
Well, here's the thing. The next draft you're going to read, that building's going to come back into play.
Yeah.
Shit.
No, that's what I'm saying is you just needed to get this version out.
Sure. And then you guys can give me notes. Like building works, doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's it. That was my first This Week in Writing.
It's a good one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you woke up at like 2 a.m. worried about the creature.
Me too.
That's my fault.
Anyway, it was your note, but whatever. It's fine. Let's move on.
Last week we had a Q&A on the Running Man for our Patreon co-EP level subscribers, which is just $10. Co-EP sounds so fancy, but it's $10 a month. And it was really interesting. It was the 1987 Arnold Schwarzenegger Running Man, and one of the Patreon subscribers who came on, he'd read the script. The other one had, read the novel, originally by Stephen King. So it was really cool to like get some backstory on, where this movie had originated in book form, what it became. And we found out some details about the development process of this movie, which made it even more bonkers. And it was super educational, I think, because 80s movies are just so different. The way that they, like these kinds of movies, these sort of big action, Schwarzenegger type movies are so different than movies now. And that was a big takeaway as we talked about how there's like no setup whatsoever. It's the barest bones setup you can imagine. And you can tell the movie was made on a budget. So those are some reasons, but that was also educational, right? Like when you get your movie made and you don't have a budget, but you want a movie to feel big, these are examples of how to do it. Obviously update how it all looks, take into account that it's from 1987. But I think it was a really interesting, example of how to set up character and world build in the most minimalist way possible.
It was awesome. I think I've mentioned this before. I have a book that I just periodically read. It's called The Last Action Heroes, and it's about Schwarzenegger and Stallone and
JCVD.
Yeah, JCVD and Bruce Willis, all the action stars, Steven Seagal, kind of who have converged at this one time and the race to out-action movie each other.
Yeah, good times, man.
Dude, just amazing times.
We didn't know how good we had it.
No, we certainly did not. Watching that is just like watching The Running Man is you just watch Arnold just shoot someone and you're just cheering. And I'm like, this is it. This is all I want. And it does make me realize why I am the way I am when it sometimes comes to writing and things that I like.
Why I am the way I am.
I'm like, well, obviously I was raised on this. Like,
yeah.
That's why my scene just has a one-liner at the end of it.
Yeah, nerds get the space race. We get the action movie race.
Yeah.
The action star race. Yeah.
But the Glenn Powell one, I'm so excited for that Running Man movie. We might need to just like talk about it after we see it.
On the podcast.
Yeah. I think
and we're also
so.
going to do one of our monthly Q&As is going to be on that in November for sure.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
as a follow-up to our September Running Man Q&A. Okay, my next This Week in Writing is we had a guest on, Frank Angones, who mentioned a phrase in his interview that we haven't talked about in a while. I think it's been years. So I just wanted to bring it up again and mention it again for those of you who were listening. He mentioned the term hip pocketing. When a agent hip pockets you, what does that mean? Josh, have you ever been hip pocketed before?
First of all, I like the hard P.
The hard
P. Hip. I think I have actually. I think, yeah, at some point, like unofficially, I remember meeting this guy when I was much younger who was like an assistant at CAA. And he basically was like, hey, if you write something, send it to me, which was like the biggest deal in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Who I met through a friend of a friend of a friend or whatever. And it was probably the loosest hip pocket in the history of the world.
But I think that's what the hip pocket is. It is like the guy or the girl who is like Yeah, send me your stuff.
Yeah.
And like we'll see what happens. They don't say that last part, but it feels like, oh, I have a rep, but they haven't actually said you're the rep. Or they're your rep, and it's usually like a friend of a friend or a query letter that you send to an agent, but it's answered by like the coordinator or the assistant. And it's not a bad place to be in as a writer because usually those people are very hungry and they want to do something so that they can build their own client list and get out of the assistant pool. However, it does require a lot more work on your part and a lot more vigilance on your part because they are usually very green or non-committal. Like sometimes they are an agent and they're just like basically throwing the widest net possible. And a hip pocket is essentially that it's a very informal agreement to rep you. And they're not really repping you. They're kind of just waiting for you to send them a script that they can act upon. And then if they end up being able to sell that script, if that script is good enough for them to want to take out and they sell it, they get some money. It's like no skin off their back.
Have you been hip pocketed?
No. I have had people try to hip pocket me, but it was I needed more. I needed more from a relationship.
Well, yeah, maybe you had more knowledge. I have no idea. Because I just was so naive of the whole process. And I remember actually sitting down with this person who I can't even remember the guy's name, man. But he's like, yeah, just send me it. And then, I know so-and-so and I know so-and-so. We can pass it off to him. And I was like, great. That's like amazing. And I once sent him something. Like, obviously nothing happened, but then you just never talk again. Like, it's the weirdest relationship.
Yeah, that's why it's like not a real relationship, right? With an
Yeah.
actual agent who might be working for you. I mean, there are pros. You can actually have someone in your corner when you're very young and other agents may not actually take you seriously. But the con is that you really do have to work extra hard because they're only going to work for you if they have something in their pocket,
Right.
as it were, to send out. So you have to constantly be churning new material, which you're going to have to do anyways. But if you are waiting for them to find you a job, that's not what they're going to do. You have to do that legwork first.
I would love to know if anyone's listening, how often this happens, if it's still a thing, if it's not a thing. I feel like it's either not a thing or it's very prevalent because it seems like now more than ever with fewer clients existing at certain agencies, I feel like more people, like up and coming people, will be like, yes, you writer, let me read your stuff. Let me see if I can have something happen with it. Maybe. I might be wrong.
I mean, as a young agent, I don't see why I wouldn't hip pocket writers.
Totally. The good hip pocket people are the ones who are up front with you, who are like, hey, by the way, I'm not an agent. I don't have certain powers to do X, Y, and Z, but I can send your script to certain producers. And if something happens, then we'll work together. But usually they're always trying to blow steam and kind of boast themselves up. And
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have other questions about hip pocketing, or if you are being hip pocketed, or you're not sure if you're being hip pocketed and you want some clarity, shoot us an email at ActTwoWriters@gmail.com and we'll answer your question. All right, I'm going to get to my next This Week in Writing, which is I went to SCAD in Atlanta.
Jesus, that's right. You've been traveling.
Yes. So SCAD is the Savannah College of Art and Design. However, they have campuses in Atlanta. They have, as I learned, a campus in like the south of France, which seems just beautiful. And I went for press for Mighty Nine. We had a screening. Fans for the first time saw the first episode of The Mighty Nine, which comes out on November 19th. And I just wanted to bring it up for two reasons. One is a writing reason, which is getting to see your work that you're actually proud of and with people in a theater is unlike any experience ever. And it only bolstered me and made me so excited to continue to make things for theatrical release. The Mighty Nine is not a theatrical release. It's going to be streamed on Amazon, and I'm lucky enough to be able to like see it in an actual theater with people. But good God, do I just want to write movies to have people gather together and enjoy themselves together, bring their friends in as these people did, and just share an experience with someone that they care about. Like, it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, there's nothing better than that. Just
nothing better.
The communal big screen experience. I know your show is fantastic. I know it is.
Listen, I just like it. I think I like it.
However, and I think this has happened to you. I'm not saying this is the case. You know when you've been at other screenings and you see it's like the energy in the room and everyone is just watching something and they're enjoying it together. It's like-minded individuals. And then you watch it on the big screen, you're like, this is freaking awesome. And then you end up watching it on like an iPad at some point in the future and you're like, wait, that's not how I remembered any of this.
Oh God, Josh, you had to put that in my head?
No, I'm sure that's not the case with you. I'm just saying that's the power of the big screen.
It is the power of the big screen. And then you're like, I need my husband to watch this. And you watch it on a TV or you watch it on the airplane and you're like, what?
Yeah. You're like, you don't understand. But I can't. When does it come out?
November 19th.
November 19th. We'll celebrate that day.
I'm really excited. I can't wait for you to watch it.
I'm
I feel like
excited
you're
too.
going to be like, oh, this is the most Tasha thing ever. Josh has not read any of what this is. I don't think you even know what it is.
When you try to tell me, I'm just like not listening.
Because it's so, like, how do you explain to you what it is? I don't think it
is what you have explained it. I'm like, But I am. I've seen images. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you.
Are you excited?
But the second thing I want to say about SCAD is, again, it's the Savannah College of Art and Design. We got a tour of the campus while I was there, and I was like, I don't want to take a tour. I could like be doing other things while I'm doing this. But then I was like so moved by this tour. They had what was essentially, and it was created by actual like alum of this school. They had what felt like a Disney ride experience.
Wait, what?
Yes, it was like 4D effects. It would take me like 30 minutes to pitch what this was, so I'm not going to do this here and now, but it was the coolest. It was like the SCAD story, like how SCAD was created, who created it, and it was the most inspirational, beautiful ride. I can only explain it as a ride. I didn't sit in a car and go on a track, but you're brought in from room to room, and there's smoke effects and visual effects and sound effects and really crazy technology used to, it's just amazing. And I left and I was like, well, if I was in high school, I would like, there's nothing I wouldn't do to go to a school like this.
Wow.
Which is all to say, being with like-minded people inspires you to no end. And if you find that you're struggling because you're not around like-minded people, find them, because it helps make you feel like what you're doing is real and possible. And that was a big part of the SCAD pitch. And also a big part of the SCAD pitch was, yeah, like maybe your parents have real jobs, right? Like maybe everyone you know in your family has like a 9-to-5 normal job, and you're this person who wants to, like, I don't know, design dresses or something, and they think you're weird, but you're not weird. Like, come here to us and you'll find out that you're not weird and that this could be a viable job for you. And like, you would love this, Josh. It's a school built on like dreams and hope. Like, these are all the words they use.
Yeah, this sounds like my dream. Did they have an AI element?
Oh God, they teach AI. They do teach AI, and how to use it in your careers. Yes, hopefully very ethically.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, there'd be no other way. I just wanted to talk about something. Nobody 2.
Yeah, I'm listening.
There's a character intro from Christopher Lloyd that is so perfect for an action movie, and just so perfect. And I sent it to you and I wrote it down, and here we go. So Christopher Lloyd is being revealed. They were meeting him as dad for the first time. Bob Odenkirk and his family are sitting in the car. They're waiting. Lloyd walks out. He's in like his flip-flops or whatever. And Odenkirk looks up and he's like, Dad, put out the cigar, the secondhand smoke. And Christopher Lloyd just looks at him and says, no such thing, and just keeps smoking and gets into the car. So, we messaged about this. That is such a perfect intro of character that I loved it. It sets up you know that relationship, you know Christopher Lloyd, and you know that he's just going to do his frickin' thing, and he believes in certain things, he doesn't believe in certain things, and I just loved it. And I just wanted to bring it up as the smallest thing, but perfect character intro.
It's so good. It's such a good combo of lines.
No such thing.
No notes.
No.
Okay, my last thing is not as good.
Oh.
Because nothing is as good as nobody. I had an experience this last week
Go on.
that I thought was really interesting. And it was, so I went in to pitch on a video game, as I have talked about. And what was fascinating about it is that the other writers who have been involved with this project have not been fans of the project when they came into it. They're gamers and all the things, but they just had never played this particular property. And when they got the assignment, that's when they either played the game or watched a walkthrough of the game and created their story that way. And as I was hearing the different takes that they had received from these previous writers, I was like, oh, that's really weird. Like, that is not even close to what I would do, having been first a fan of this game and then second a writer thinking about adapting this game. They took out particular characters who were absolutely key and beloved if you played the game. They paired the hero with characters that felt very weird. But then I took a step back and thought, well, these are really smart people who are doing this. Why did they choose to clearly write movies that were like off the path and off of the experience of the video game? And the only conclusion is that they came to it as a writer. So if I had been given an assignment and I played this particular video game, let's think about the character that they ended up taking out. That is a character I would absolutely keep in the game, having loved the game from the minute I played it. They took it out because that character, when you play it, it is kind of just like an exposition character. It just kind of gives you information as you play the game, information that you definitely need. And as a writer, if I'm looking at this game, I was like, okay, I got to adapt this game. What are the things I'm going to do? What are the things I'm going to trim? What are the tricks of my trade? I'd be like, well, I don't need this character. He just gives us information.
Mm-hmm.
But if you had played the game without thinking about that, without the brain of a writer, you fall in love with that character in a way that is so essential to the way the story unfolds. And I have never really, I'm going to pause. I'm going to finish my sentence, but contradict myself even after. I've never been the kind of person who believed you have to be an absolute fan of a property in order to adapt it. I have adapted things that I have not been absolute fan of, but that I became a fan of as I watched it. So there's absolutely that trajectory, right? Like Naruto, I had never watched before I was approached with the job. And then I watched it and was like, holy shit, this is incredible. And I just like binged it. I couldn't get enough of it. I became a genuine fan, right? But there are also jobs, like we've talked about many times, where you're given a book, let's say. This is mostly my experience. You're given a book and there's money if you can figure out a take. So I figure out a take even though I hate the book.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to do my version of what I like about this. And maybe a super fan of this book is going to be like, she fucked it up because she didn't get the essence. It's like, no, I didn't get the essence because I hated the essence. I didn't like this book. So there's like this spectrum of fandom that you have to be in order to adapt something that is IP, right? Like, I am a massive Tomb Raider fan. I think that for Tomb Raider, you needed a massive fan to adapt it. However, there are cons to hiring a massive fan, right? Because we become so attached to the material that sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees, and we become a fan first and a writer second. And I think the biggest thing to remember, if you are a fan of the IP and you are being approached to write something, is that you do have to be a writer first and then a fan second. You have to figure out a way to make this work in a structural way that people who aren't fans of the thing will understand and love it first, and then inject your fandom into it. One example I can think of is that I'm a massive fan of The Mummy. Brendan Fraser is a god. And I know the execs on this project. I had an open invitation to pitch my take on this project for the new reboot of The Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and I couldn't come up with a take. I felt like I was like too close to loving the first movie. It was like so perfect. I couldn't figure out how to like move the franchise forward. I just couldn't get my writer brain around it, right? And so I've missed my opportunity to adapt something that I think is so, or reboot something that is so precious to me, just because the fan couldn't get out of its own way, right? So anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I think it's so interesting how you approach IP, and of course we continue to do episodes about adapting IP because I think it's fascinating. And that is my This Week in Writing.
That's amazing. It is an interesting point you bring up of being too much of a fan, and you almost can't take yourself out of the fandom when you're approaching an idea. You're like, no, this character has to be there, because this, and this, and it's almost like, no, that character doesn't have to be there.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's very true. It's tough. Okay, our main topic today is my hack for good dialogue.
Let's go. I forgot how to write dialogue anyway, so this is great.
So this is something I've learned, I think, from working in TV and having limited time and space to tell your story because it's TV, and also from working with actors who actually have to say the lines, the stupid shit that I give them. And they have to believe it, and they have to understand it, and they have to buy that their character would say this, right? Because I guarantee you, when a real human who has to feel the emotions that you're making up for them and say a line, you got to be sure that that's the line that matters and that it means something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say my hack up front, and then we're going to break it down and we're going to talk about it. My hack for writing good dialogue is always make sure every line of dialogue you write is doing at least double duty. At least. Meaning that every line of dialogue you write should include character and something else. And that something else might be story, it might be plot, it might be lore, like the lore of your world, or your backstory lore, or character relationships. But it has to be doing double duty. Otherwise, it's wasted space.
Yes. All right, go. I see you worked up.
I am worked up. I feel hot. Okay. If you have a line of dialogue that is just like an everyday response, or just a statement or an observation, I think take another look at it. Because sure, it might be something that people actually say. Sure. But this is a movie or it's a TV show. It's not really real. It's a simulation of what is real. So your job is to make the movie or the TV show move along and progress the way that everyday real people don't have an obligation to do. When you sit in a cafe, it's a good way to learn dialogue, but also you got to truncate that shit in order for it to work in your movie or show, right? Because there's a lot of rambling. There's a lot of half sentences. There's a lot of just random responses that don't make any sense. So what does this actually mean in practice, this hack? So let's imagine a scene. A mother and daughter are going camping. Josh, what would a characteristic of the mother be? Just make something up. Protective,
Just
okay.
Overprotective. Don't go there.
Okay.
Don't go over here. Don't. Yeah.
Okay. So then let's say the daughter is the opposite. She's really adventurous and sort of doesn't care about rules or safety. Now let's say that this movie becomes a survival movie where the mother and daughter start the movie at odds and they end the movie bonded and closer than ever. But right now, in the opening of the movie, they are not on the same page. So for the dialogue, I want to make sure that mom's dialogue is overprotective, right? It's not necessarily that she's going to be on the nose with like, don't touch that, or put that thing down, or you got to follow the rules and listen to me. Those are all like, those are things that people would say. That totally makes sense. But that's not doing double duty. That's just like saying the thing. So are there ways for you to make that dialogue and that kind of anxiety that the mother has do more work for you? We'll give an example in a second. For the daughter's dialogue, you also want to do the same thing. Like she could say things like, leave me alone, Mom. Like, I want to live my own life. Or, I don't know. Like,
yeah, Mom, it's fine.
Oh, look at this bear trap, Mom. Yeah, Mom, it's fine.
Yeah.
Leave me alone. Why are you always on my case? Things like that. But we can be better writers than that, right? So every time the mom and daughter speak to each other, it should, at the very, very least, have their character in that dialogue, where that conflict between the two characters really needs to be there, whether it's mom, straining to be kind, but also really anxious about what her daughter's doing, or the daughter being, really exploratory and everything is new and exciting. She may be saying one thing, but the tone of the voice may be something different, right? So that's something you can play with the mom and how she's talking to her daughter. And again, that's all fine. But I would say write that scene and then go back through it and pressure test every single line of dialogue. Does every single line of dialogue reveal character? And by that, I mean, is it in that specific character's voice so it feels like no one else in the movie or the show could say that line? Now, I would say that 95% of the time, your lines of dialogue should not be transferable to another character. And I know that some people say 100% of the time, but realistically, that's just not how it goes. like just yesterday, I was revising our script, Josh, and I got to a couple lines of dialogue that belonged to our protagonist detective and our Watson type partner for her. And the dialogue kind of worked for both of them, and I kind of switched them around a little bit without changing the actual substance of the line because they were both in the same mode. They were in like the thinking, detecting mode, so it kind of worked for both of them. But 95% of the time, you should be able to remove your character's name from your script and a reader should still be able to follow it, right? So, of course, every single line of dialogue in this scene with your mother and daughter have to be in the character's voice and they have to reveal character. And when I say reveal, I mean, does it say anything about that character? Yes, a mom could say a line that's very anxious, but does that actually reveal anything about who she is, her take on this moment? It could even maybe give some kind of sense of backstory. Like, my mom never let me do that, so I'm not letting you do that. Like, oh, what's going on with your mom? So maybe the daughter is piling wood in the fire pit, and like the subtext of how the mom is talking about how to set up the wood maybe tells her she hates being outdoors, but she's really just talking about how to stack the wood. So that is a revealing character. Also, does every line of dialogue in this scene reveal or advance the relationship between the mother and daughter? So I'm going to do a little, I have to do a little acting in order to get this point through. And this is terrible. I'm embarrassed. Okay. A reveal might be something like mom saying, "Hey, remember to stack the wood how I taught you? You remember how I taught you, right?" The daughter being like, "I was like 5, Mom. How would I remember that?" So that's a reveal, right? The plot of the scene is mom and daughter are setting up their campsite. So the dialogue might include plot stuff like stacking the firewood. Eventually it'll be like how to hold the pole straight for the tent. What sleeping bag do you want? But because it should be doing double duty by revealing character every single line, now you're revealing that they haven't gone camping since she was 5 years old. Like, they haven't had this experience for so long. How could she possibly remember that? And then also the mom kind of comes off as a little overbearing, like, do the thing I told you to do when you were 5, right? So that is an example of doing some double duty there.
That's great.
The dialogue of the scene should also include, I think, let's say, mom loves camping, but hasn't taken her daughter in ages. Great, we got that. Mom hopes this will be a chance to bond with her daughter. The daughter wishes they could be anywhere but here. And again, I'm not saying these things have to be on the nose. It should all be subtext, in fact. And I think it can be in the pacing of the responses. It can be in the voice that your characters choose to be there. But all of that subtext can and should be in lines of dialogue that are just about setting up the camp. So don't ever just have a scene where they're just fucking setting up the camp, in other words.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that this comes up for me because there are countless times where I get scripts from writers and their dialogue is just there and it's not doing anything. And as a showrunner who has to get to the point quickly and make sure every ounce of real estate is used wisely, this is something that really bothers me and is something that I'm constantly having to correct and has made me a better writer when I look at dialogue scenes. Because sometimes as writers, we just like to let dialogue breathe. And maybe sometimes that's okay. But I would argue it's not okay. I would argue that even the greatest writers who you think are just letting a scene breathe are actually doing double duty or triple duty with their dialogue.
I'm absorbing Loving everything you're saying. Because, yeah, there are a lot of times when you just start writing something. You're like, you do a first pass on something, and the scenes are long, they're bloated, and you're just kind of letting the characters sit there. And but, yeah, you have to keep pulling back. And I'll let you go. Your eyes are lit up like a light bulb right now, so go for it.
Well, also what you're saying reminded me of a few scripts that I've read recently where the dialogue, if the writer just had gone through and thought about double duty with dialogue, they could have trimmed this scene by like 2 pages, right? Where their characters say either repeat themselves in different ways, because I think as writers we want to make sure our point is coming across, or they take too long to say something. So if your dialogue is doing double duty, you can get to points quicker while still being in the voice of your character. And that's the trick of writing. That's what makes you a good writer, is are you able to find ways to be in your character's voice, but have that line of dialogue do more work for you than simply a response to another character. And again, I challenge you to go back through your scenes and look for these. So another example would be a dialogue scene. This one is one that doesn't do anything, right? So the dad, "Hey, honey, how was your day today?" Daughter, "It was good." Dad, "Yeah? What'd you do?" Daughter, "Mr. Pickles ate a fish, and I got an A on my math test." Dad, "That's amazing, sweetie." So in this scene, does it exist in real life? Sure, absolutely. Can you make this dialogue do more for you? Absolutely. So here's an example of doing just a little bit more for you. Dad, "Hey, champ, what amazing thing did you do today?" Daughter, "Nothing." Dad, "Nothing? I don't buy it. Did you ride a dragon? Did you fight a bear? Discover a new continent?" Daughter laughs. "No. Mr. Pickles ate a fish." Dad, "What? How do you even fit it in his mouth?" Daughter, "He ate it sideways. I also got an A on my math test." Dad, "Because you're a genius, just like your old man." So now in this scene, it's the same exact scene, but now it's revealing personality, right? There's personality to the dad. There's personality to the little girl. There's just more character going on.
They have a good relationship, apparently.
A nice relationship.
What's that like?
Shut up. I've seen you with your daughter. You have an amazing relationship.
Right.
Now, what does this scene look like if it's doing double duty? Now, let's imagine this scene is like 10 minutes in the future, as they say in our business, meaning it's just slightly sci-fi. It's still in our real world, but there's just something slightly off. And we want our dialogue to also do some world building for us, not just be dad picking up daughter from school. So here's an example of it doing double duty for that. Dad, "Hey, champ, what amazing thing did you do today?" Daughter, "Nothing." Dad, "Nothing? I don't buy it. Did you ride a dragon, discover a new continent, fight a bear?" Daughter, "What's a bear?" Dad, "It's a big, furry, apex predator that's also so cute you want to hug it. They used to kill hikers all the time when I was a kid." Daughter, "Weird. Mr. Pickles ate a fish." Dad, "Isn't Mr. Pickles a robot?" Daughter, "Yeah, he short-circuited when he stuck his head in the tank, but not after he ate the fish." So again, same conversation. Dad and daughter talk about the daughter's day, but now we get not only personality from the upbeat dad who's really engaged with his daughter. He's friendly, he's a little quirky, but now we get some world building. We're in a future without bears, and this little kid has a robot in their classroom. So again, it's the same scene, but now it's doing double duty. And actually, it wasn't necessarily dialogue doing this in The Running Man, but a lot of scenes were doing double duty in The Running Man, as we talked about on our Q&A, of scenes that were, just breaking out of prison, but the way that the set design was, some of the costuming, the way they had to break out of prison, all stuff in action. You didn't need to explain it, but all of that stuff did double duty for us by showing us we were in the future. So there's really cool ways to just, show things in a succinct way. Now, I will allow that sometimes you need to have characters who just respond to things. They don't need to do something fancy. They just need to respond to another character in the scene. I think in these cases, there's not a ton of room for you to do double duty, but I would still challenge you to try as much as possible. But if you absolutely cannot figure out a way for a line to do double duty, at least let it do single duty, right? So in the example above, a father and daughter chatting about a daughter's day at school, there's the basic way, where it's just information and it sounds like real people, and that's great. You've managed to make fake people sound like real people. But then there's an interesting and unique way, because you're writing, again, a movie or a TV show, and your characters should be interesting and unique. And I'm not saying they have to be weird and quirky, but they have to be interesting. I have to want to take time out of my finite life to watch them do things. So when you write your scene, go back through. This can be a revision process. It doesn't have to be the thing you do first, right? It can be part of your revision process where you go back through your scenes and you take them one by one because that's more manageable, and you think about your character's personality in that scene. For example, if your character just says, yeah, in dialogue, I hate that word. I hate when that word is just there, because sometimes it's perfectly placed in exactly what the character would say, and that's part of their character. In fact, in my show that's coming out, there is a character who that's part of his deal. He just says yeah a lot because he's very stoic, because he doesn't like to reveal any part of himself to anybody. He is very guarded. So yeah is like his go-to line. But there are dozens of ways for characters and people to say yeah. There's fuck yeah, there's yeah, sure, there's cool, there's whatever. Like there's so many ways, right? So and when you get to lines like that in your own script, is there another way for your character to respond that feels more in character? Could it be better?
It's like I am Groot. That just means
yes.
multiple things, the way someone delivers it. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yes, exactly. So that's it. I mean, that's essentially my TED Talk on my hack for good dialogue. Make your dialogue do double duty. And if you're super clever and you want extra credit points, and also make Tasha the happiest showrunner in the world, get your dialogue to do triple duty, because you're saving real estate, you're moving your story along, you're giving your audience so much candy in just one moment. And you're writing. Like, that's writing, man. It's the best. So that's it.
Notes.
That's what I got.
None. That's it. I got nothing. I don't even know. There's nothing I can say to follow up on it. I completely agree. Obviously, easier said than done.
Yeah. It's a process.
No, but this is also reinforces why you need to know your characters when you go into write. When you figure your characters out. And I think I'm not going to say anything else.
Yeah.
The end.
All right. Quote of the day. First, forget inspiration. Habit is more dependable. Habit will sustain you whether you're inspired or not. Habit will help you finish and polish your stories. Inspiration won't. Octavia E. Butler. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at ActTwoWriters for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram, or on Twitter at Tasha 3.0.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram.
And as always, the Act Two podcast is a production of Act Two, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.